What's up, tribe? How you guys doing? This is going to be your review for David Makes Man, Season 1, Episode 5. I don't know why I thought this was Episode 4. But go ahead and hit that subscribe button, and I hope you like this video. So, look. It's the big dance, okay? That's the big event of this episode, and everybody has their own way they looking at this and their own version of it. We start off back over, we have David in bed. We see David, we see Saren, and we see Marissa. I don't know why I call that girl Marissa. Isn't it? It's Marissa. Y'all told me I need to keep a chart. I do. I'm going to start keeping a chart of names. But, David is home with JG, and guess what? Mama is home, because remember, Mama don't have no job. And Mama is bumbling around the house and cleaning and just busy. Now, I ain't going to lie. When she first busted up in their room, I kind of thought she was high. I was like, she is really tripping right now. But I think she's just trying to burn that energy, honey. Over to Saren's house, poor baby is laying in the bed. Every time he hear a creak, he think it's somebody creeping in his room. But that's just a terrible way to have to live your life. I mean, horrible. Over to Marissa's house, you know, Mama's getting her ready to get courted, okay? Mama done pressed that hair, and there is not a black girl in this world. I'm going to say the world, but I damn sure know probably America that does not know the feeling of sitting at that daggone kitchen with that hot comb burning your hair and the smell of your hair burning. Oh, my goodness. But Mama made her get a little dress on. She didn't even let her wear her uniform. Mama told her, when you get grown, you can wear whatever you want to wear, but until then, you wear what I tell you to wear. I said, you better tell her. Told her beauty is pain. Okay? And then back over to David's house. Mama's taking them to school. No, I'm sorry, before we get there, rewind. Mama's cleaning, and she ends up going in David's book bag, and of course he panics, because it's the book bag that had the weed in it. And he still got them daggone dryer sheets in the bag. And she opens it up, and of course he's waiting for her to get this woof of weed. And she's like, what are these dryer sheets doing in this bag? I don't know. Then she pulls out the paper. He's even more nervous because that's the paper that he wrote down the medicine and everything on. But she opens it up and finds out there's a dance at school. David ain't said nothing about no dance. You know David wasn't going to go to no daggone dance. And he probably forgot that's even what he wrote it on. He's so worried about her seeing what the medicine and stuff. And she's talking to him about the dance, and of course he's trying to blow her off or whatever until she sees that medicine and that milligrams. And she said, what is this? And he was like, oh, it's just a math problem. And before she could think on it too hard, then he said, so Mama, about the dance. So now he just sort of pushed himself into going to this dance to distract her from focusing on that paper too much. Now, a whole lot of things went down in this episode. Mama's leaving. Miss Gloria's leaving, and she ends up jumping rope with the girls. We see David feeling little girl, little Pearl. It is Pearl, right? I know it's some stone. I believe it's Pearl. Anyway, and Mama done jumped double dutch. And I'm gonna say this too: every little black child remember her mama jumping double dutch. I can remember my mama, my aunties, all of us at some point them jumping up in the double dutch rope. Okay, it's just something that they did. I think it was just to let us know we got it too. You know, little sassy girls, little sassy neighborhood girls, and of course the old lady telling them to get their asses to school. I knew I couldn't place her last week. That's the grandmama from Star. If you watch Star, that's the next door neighbor, the grandmama from Star. She plays evil old lady well, okay? So Mama is taking them to school, and of course, when Mama takes them to school, they get to school early. So David done made the bus. I think it's the first time we done see David make that damn school bus all season. But he done made the school bus, and while he was waiting for the school bus, who shows up? Sky. Sky shows up and starts joking with him and teasing him about liking Pearl. He said, why you ain't makeup on her? He said, I tried. So it was cute. It was cute. He gets to school and he runs into Marissa. He like, look, you want to go to the dance with me? And she looked real cute. She looked real pretty. He was like, look, you want to go to the dance with me? And you could tell that she was sort of like, yeah, like, okay, because I think she does like David. But then David put his foot in his mouth and he hit her with because that's what boys do, because they stupid and they don't see the obvious things in front of them. So she said, he gonna say to her, I mean, you going to the dance, I'm going to the dance, we might as well go together. And this, I'm telling you what I love about this show. The women in this show are strong. The little girls on this show have very strong personalities, and they know who they are, and they will not be treated any differently, because it's not just this young lady, it's Pearl as well. We'll get to that. So she said, oh, really? Well, in that case, no thank you. I said, dummy, if you would just shut your mouth shut, you'd have had a date for the dance. And that him trying to find a date for the dance turns into the funniest little thing, because everybody he's getting ready to ask, Marissa already got the 411. Marissa was like, she already going with somebody. She told one of the girls he was going to ask, she said, you better grow some breasts because she like girls. I mean, and at first he was irritated by her. And then finally, I guess he figured, well, you just know everything. So what about so-and-so? What about so-and-so? It was almost like that DMX challenge. Well, what about her? What about her? What about her? And she was like, no, She knew, but and remember, the dance is like that day or the next day. So it's not unrealistic to understand that everybody had a date already, because you waited to the last minute. Then he finds out that Saren asked Marissa and they're going to the dance. So and David got an attitude about it. Saren was like, I'm sorry, but again, you messed that up. Ain't no need you getting mad at Saren. You had your chance. You messed it up. So David has his second session with the counselor. Now remember, he only had to go to 2. Now, I feel like the counselor was pressing him a little hard in this session. I mean, he bought chips and everything. I guess he thought that was going to loosen the tongue a little bit. And, David was ready to give him this whole speech about apologizing for what he said about everything must die and all that other stuff. And the counselor sort of let that go by at first. But then he was asking him about Sky again. And, I feel like he was pressing him a little bit because David admitted that, he said what Sky's real name was and everything. And he admitted that, Sky was a drug dealer. He was like, so your mother let you hang out with drug dealers? He was like, no, what? No. Like, she didn't know I was with him. Like, no. Then they asked him, well, where does your brother stay when you're not home? And now David's embarrassed because he said, with Miss Elijah. He said, is it Miss Elijah or Elijah? And he said, well, we call him Miss Elijah. And the counselor was like, so you seem uncomfortable. I mean, did Miss Elijah do anything to make you? David was like, no, Elijah's cool. No, he said, I'm not what did he say? I'm not a homophobic. He didn't say homophobe. He said, I'm not a homophobic or whatever. He said, but Miss Elijah is cool. It's just, she does a lot. Because I don't think David has a problem with Miss Elijah. I think it's just that, like, kids being embarrassed about something that's different, And then he kind of went back to the whole Sky thing, and he was really sort of pressing, well, who did you trust? You trusted Sky. Sky's gone. Do you trust anybody? And, when the session was over, David jumped up ready to go, and the counselor was like, look, David, I know the principal, said you only had to come to 2 sessions, but let's do some more. He said, if it's okay with you. Oh, he asked him, was he sleeping? And I found this to be very interesting, that the school counselor was going to offer him some damn drugs. I thought that, I mean, I know he's not just a counselor. I know he's licensed and he's a doctor and everything, but I don't know. I just thought that was a little different. Of course, the mother would have had to sign off on it. And of course, David was like, no, we're not bringing no prescription drugs up in the house. So David's mom must have been an addiction to pills, because they're very, very careful about this whole prescription medicine thing. So when David is out at lunch with his friends, with Saren and Marissa, the principal approaches the counselor, the doctor, and ask him about David. And it almost sounds like she's looking for an excuse to put him back in his neighborhood school. I just want to know, is he having a hard time adjusting to the magnet school? And the doctor was even confused, like, what are you talking about? Like, well, you know about the fight and everything. He was like, yeah, I know why he had to come and see me, but what are you talking about? Like, why are you assuming the worst? Like, and while she's talking to the doctor, David sees them. And of course, I'm sure in David's mind, David automatically thinks the worst, like they're talking about me, which they were, but not in a bad way. It wasn't that the doctor was going and snitching on David, for lack of a better word, which is, I think, how he probably interpreted that. So David sort of just walks off. But and what I'm learning about David Makes Man, at some point I think we're going to hear the rest of that conversation, because we didn't hear the rest of the conversation. But it seemed like the doctor was irritated with the principal for kind of her approach. And we also get the impression that the principal is new. So she's new there. That's the impression I get, because he asked her how she was settling in and everything like that. I'm like, oh, okay. All right, I'm kind of seeing a few things now. So David gets home, honey, and who he run into again? Sky. Looking cleaner than the Board of Health. Do you hear me? Oh, Sky was looking good in that powder blue suit, honey. And they get to talking, and he's telling her how to mac. I mean, he's telling David how to mac. And, you know, I was a player back in the day. And he's telling him how to run the line so he can get the girl, you know, that he saw him with flirting with earlier, or liking earlier. He wasn't flirting with her. Next thing you know, honey, If It Is in Love is playing. And they do a whole If It Is in Love. David looked cute too in his little suit. He got backup dancers. They doing the choreography. He lip syncing to If It Is in Love. They do the whole damn song. And what's funny is, I was thinking to myself while I was watching this, I'm thinking, now they live in the hood. Now I ain't never been to an empty hood. How he always having these conversations with Sky, and don't nobody ever see him except for that one dude that saw him that night that he brought the drugs back. And next thing you know, what happens? They done surrounded David while he's doing his whole little, and they start clowning him. But something very curious happened with this, because Kool-Aid Dread Boy seemed like he got in his feelings a little bit when he realized that David liked the little girl. Now, you could take that two ways. Either A, he likes that little girl too, or B, he likes David. Very interesting. Very, very interesting. David goes in the house. Him and they about to fight and everything, but David ends up going in the house. Mama done sold the TV. We see Mama done sold blood and plasma. But she keep telling David, I got it under control. I got it under control. I got it under control. But David ain't buying it, which I wouldn't be buying it either. And she done pulled out his suit. David went into the bathroom to use the bathroom. And she keep opening up the door. And he is like, Mama, please. And I'm like, Mama, please. The boy is in 8th grade. Like, having his mama walk in on him and sitting on the toilet is not a good look. Not in a nefarious way, just in a respectful way. You know what I'm saying? Like, let that boy have his bathroom time. She makes him put on this suit, honey, that he has outgrown 5 Easters ago, okay? The top fits, but the bottom is too short. He looked like... Now, what's funny is he could wear that suit nowadays and nobody would blink an eye, because it's those short pants that the guys are wearing. Dwayne Wade and David Westbrook. Not David Westbrook. Y'all know who I'm talking about. But a lot of these athletes and stuff, you see them in these short pants, outfits and stuff, suits. And his mother told him, go and ask the girl out on a date. And he said, like this? She said, yes, go ask her. Now, and of course, JG is clowning. Oh, he's clowning. Mama fussing at JG about this daggone him peeing the bed. She said, you too old for this. We need to figure something out, because you were too old to still be peeing the bed. And as soon as his mother pushed him out that daggone door with them short pants on and told him don't come back until he has a date for the dance. Now, as soon as that happened, all I could think of was, go ask Miss Elijah for some help. Like, clearly Miss Elijah can sew. So, he goes out, he goes down the steps, he goes over to the girl's door, and he's great knock on the door, but he just can't make himself do it. He's about to walk away. Who comes out on the porch? Miss Elijah. Miss Elijah said, if you don't get your ass up here so I can get you together, honey. And he proceeds to fix David's pants while Star's there. And she giving David all this daggone advice on how to treat a woman. And it's funny because every time she says something good, Star's like, mm-hmm. And when she says something bad, Star like, don't do that. Don't do that. And Elijah is just giving him the whole, this is how you treat a woman, and you bring facts, you bring, you do this, you make her feel this, and you make her feel like that. He trying to put a karma bond, what's some things called, with the ruffles on underneath it, and a flower for the lapel. And David's like, can you just Miss Elijah, I appreciate you, but just the pants. Just the pants. Just the pants. But anyway, Miss Elijah gets David together, honey. So now David feels better going to ask the girl to go to the dance with him. And of course she says yes. It was awkward. It was real adolescent and teenage. But she says yes. We see Saren. We see Saren, Marissa and Saren over to the house, and of course, I don't believe that Saren has confided in Marissa, but I think Marissa done picked up on some stuff because she was looking at both of his parents like she wasn't feeling them. You know what I mean? She was looking at both his parents, and he was teaching Sarah how to tie a tie, and she was looking at him. She was giving him the stank face, and then his mama came and was talking about taking pictures, and she had on a real pretty dress. She looked really beautiful, but the mama, before they went outside to take pictures, the mama put her wrap around her, talking about some, don't give away the goodies, or something to that effect. Honey, Marissa tore that damn thing off around her neck, went to go take them pictures, and rolled her eyes. I said, yeah. I don't think Saren is confided in her, but I think she definitely picks up on a bad vibe. Sometimes you just got a bad feeling about people. Over down to the Ville, David and his date are taking, and she looks cute too. And David and his date are taking pictures and everything. And Mama done borrowed Miss Elijah's car, honey, to take them to the dance. They didn't have to catch the bus, baby. They get to the dance, and she is in awe because, of course, she goes to the neighborhood school. So this whole magnet thing is just new for her. And she's looking around like, okay, ma'am. When she meets Marissa ain't feeling her. You hear me? She ain't feeling her at all. Marissa giving her, y'all know what women do. Real catty. And when she calls David Dave, because, of course, that's what they call him in the neighborhood. Who's Dave? She was like, Sarah was like, oh, I think that's cool. That's a cool nickname, And every time Pearl opened her mouth, honey, Marissa ain't had nothing good for her. So finally, she has to go to the bathroom or something, and Saren ends up walking her over to the bathroom. I said, now, isn't that normally what girls go off and do together? She wasn't feeling it, honey. Next thing you know, she's over having a conversation with Felicia Rashad's character. She's in a dance program, and Felicia Rashad knows the director of the dance program, and so they're kind of vibing, and she's talking to her. You can tell she's someone who's used to talking to adults because she's having just the nicest conversation with her. Now, David, for whatever reason, David is awkward, okay? It's that whole, when the two worlds meet. You know what I'm saying? The two worlds collide and meet each other, and he doesn't know how to handle it. So he's got his neighborhood meeting, his school, and he's always kept those separate, and he just doesn't know how to handle it. So, David sees her talking to Felicia Rashad. He gets nervous, and he's like, what are they talking about? What are they discussing? And he ain't feeling it. And he pulls her over to go dance on the dance floor. They get on the dance floor, and of course, he half dancing now because she's in the dance program. So in his mind, he's picturing her dancing circles around him, which, he's one of his little vibes. But she's starting to pick up on something from him. She's like, okay, you asked me up here to dance. Like, what's up? Let's dance. Then they over to the fondue fountain, and she is just excited. She said, I have never seen a chocolate fountain before. She said, oh, wait till I tell whoever. And he said, do you have to tell her? She was like, yeah, why not? He said, because once you tell her, the whole neighborhood is going to know. And she was like, and what's wrong with that? Like, why the whole neighborhood can't know? She said, oh, I get it. You're ashamed of me, honey. She got loud. And she gave him one of them epic, when we figure it out type moments. And she said, oh, so you don't want your good old magnet school friends to know about me, your little hood friend from down to the Ville, blah, 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 blah. She gives it to him, honey. And then she said, she throws her plate at him, or whatever she does to the plate, it ends up on the floor. And she said, I don't need this. I'm better than this. And again, I'm going back to what I'm saying about the women the young ladies on this show having such a strong sense of who they are. She was like, I don't deserve this. And she rolled right on out and left his ass standing there. He was so embarrassed, poor baby. So now they on the bus on the way home. He's sitting on the back of the bus, honey. She's sitting in the middle of the bus. And there's a little frog on the seat, like a golden frog, making this little, chirping noise or whatever. I thought it was a bird at first, but it was a frog. And Sky's talking to him. And his answers to Sky almost sound like he's talking to her, because he's like, I'm sorry, I fuck everything up. And she's starting to soften a little bit. She smiles a little bit. So then he gets up and he walks over to her and, he shows her the frog or whatever, and she's scared of it. And he said, look, I just want to make sure it gets off the bus safely, He kind of finesses her a little bit. And they get to talking, and she said, Marissa likes you, right? David was like, what? Nah, that's just a homie. Y'all know that's men's line. Oh, that's just a homie. She was like, yeah, no, she's feeling you. She said, and it's really cool that you have a gay friend. David said, who, Sarah? Sarah ain't. He said, Sarah ain't gay. She was like, look, we know women know these kinds of things, okay? But it's cool. Ain't nothing wrong with it. It's cool. So they go back to the house, honey. He walks her to her door, and they getting ready to have a moment. Like, they doing that slow lean in, like they getting ready to kiss, but it's that nervous, 8th grader thing where we don't know if we should kiss or not. Honey, mama was at the door. Next thing you know, that door opened, and mama hit him with the So that was the end of the date. Okay. But of course, David is happy and he's smiling. He's on his way back home. And what we didn't see was that JG and Gloria had a moment. Gloria had JG burying his baby toys, because she said, you're not a baby anymore. So we're going to bury these baby toys so that you can start being the young man that you are. And that means no more wetting the bed. And, I don't know if that's going to work, because, it don't just cut off and on, I guess. But her handling, because at first, her just yelling at him about it, I was like, well, that ain't going to work either. But kind of doing this like this, big boys don't do this kind of thing. And we're going to bury these kitty toys. And, honey, his feelings were so hurt, he had to get rid of his toys, honey. So David is at the house. He's walking up to the door. He gets to the door, and he rips something off the front door. And, of course, I knew what it was. And just at that moment, Gloria and JG are coming up the steps. And David gives her this look like, like he's so pissed off and he's so disappointed in her. He drops it on the floor and walks into the apartment. And it's a late notice. Basically, they got 3 days to pay the rent. So that's where it ended, you guys. So much happened in this episode. Like I said, that more questions than answers, So we will see where this puts us for next week. Let me know what y'all think. Drop it in the comments. Peace.